Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I am Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us. Hey, listen, a lot of you have been having a lot of questions about ATF's new proposed rules on pistol stabilizing braces and what that really means to you. A lot more of you have been asking questions about this new Amnesty registration and what should you really do. Well, I'm not much of a conspiracy theorist, but I have to admit to you that last night, while I was geeking out on this stuff, I may have connected some dots, and I think it's important that I share these with you today. So, today we're going to have a really important discussion about, is pistol brace amnesty about to become the biggest trap ever set? Okay, so the issue we're talking about today is ATF's new proposed rules on pistol braces and some of the information that John Crump and the folks over at AmmoLand got out about a budget request that the ATF has made because they need to redo their Form 1s for pistol brace amnesty registration. Now, we've already done a video about pistol brace amnesty, and we did a video about a year ago about how I thought that the ATF was going to enforce this pistol brace rule, but I may be amending that today. Now, on a side note, let us remember that this rule was supposed to be published in August. It was pulled back. The rule is going to be republished in December, which means we will have from December until April, 120 days, to figure out what the rule actually means and how it's going to be enforced. But in the meantime, last night, I'm getting a lot of questions from you folks, and I really do appreciate the questions. So I was up late last night, geeking out, doing a bunch of research on pistol brace amnesty, talking and taking a look at what some other people out here in the YouTuberverse were saying, and I have come to a very scary conclusion. And that conclusion is I believe that pistol brace amnesty could be one of the largest traps ever set by the ATF. Now, that should not come as a surprise. I know many of you have trust issues with the ATF, and unfortunately, it is a reputation that they themselves have earned. But let me explain to you how I think this thing can come back and bite all of you lawful and responsible gun owners in the ass, and why we need to be really, really cautious about this. Okay, so I'm going to try to connect the dots with you. Now, the dots are connected from 3 documents, and I am just taking the wording of these 3 documents. I am not putting any interpretations on it. I am using the plain language that's contained in these 3 government documents, okay? We're going to take a look at the budget request made by ATF and why they made that request. We also need to take a look at ATF Form 1 as it currently exists and what could be added to it. And then we also need to take a look at ATF Form 4999. What is 4999? Well, for those of you who've been geeking out on the channel, you know that that is the form that ATF is going to use to score an AR pistol to determine is it really an AR pistol or a federally regulated short barrel rifle, buying you a $200 tax stamp. Okay, now to refresh our memory, this whole story about pistol brace amnesty was broken by John Crump over at AmmoLand, where he found a budget request made by ATF. ATF needs a whole bunch more money. Why? Well, apparently they need to redo their Form 1s. Okay, now for those of you new to this whole Form 1, Form 4, Form 1s are the forms we use when we are manufacturing, we are assembling an NFA Title II regulated firearm, such as a short barrel rifle. Now, I want you to pay careful attention, though, to the language that ATF used in this budget request. Due to the upcoming amnesty registration of pistol brace weapons, photos of the weapon being registered will be required to prove the weapon does utilize a pistol brace in its configuration and would qualify for an amnesty registration. Okay, so ATF wants photos of the firearm to determine, 1, does it actually just use a pistol brace, and does it qualify for amnesty registration? Okay, with that in mind, let's fast forward now to ATF's Form 1. Now, this is a form that a lot of you are pretty familiar with, and as you can see, there is great detail in these sections right here that you have to give descriptions of the firearm. When you look at Section 4 on ATF's Form 1, you'll see that there's all sorts of details required of the make of the firearm. The caliber, the model, the barrel length, the overall length, the serial number. And it is my belief that what ATF wants to add is several more questions in Section 4. Why would they want to do that? Well, now let's fast forward to ATF's Form 4999. Now, again, we've already done a video on this. We've actually done a couple of videos on this, and the 4999 is a form that ATF uses or will be using to determine if an AR pistol is actually an AR pistol, or does it, in the eyes of ATF, now constitute a short barrel rifle. Let us back up and remember what ATF said about the budget request and what they needed the extra money for. It was for this amnesty registration period because they were going to have to submit photos. Why? Well, it said to prove the weapon does utilize a pistol brace in its configuration and would qualify for an amnesty registration. So, when ATF finally gets Form 1 amended, do not be surprised if there is additional information that is required of you about the firearm, including rear surface areas, adjustability, length of pull, attachment methods, modifications or configurations on the stabilizing braces, or any peripheral accessories. Why is that? Because all of those items are contained on 4999, and depending on the answers to those questions, you will accumulate points. Now, let's talk about what the ATF's plan purportedly is and what it probably really is. First of all, they're calling this an amnesty registration period. Now, when I look up the words amnesty in the dictionary, it seems like that it assumes that the person is guilty, but they're just getting a pass. Folks, these are AR pistols. These firearms were properly, lawfully accumulated or assembled by you. They are properly and lawfully owned. There is no amnesty necessary here. If ATF wanted to call it a free, tax-free registration period or something to that effect, hey, that's a little bit more accurate. But they want to call it an amnesty period, and they want to encourage and entice all of you to go ahead and submit your AR pistols as if they were SBRs on Form 1s, because you're going to get amnesty, right? You're not going to be required to pay the tax stamp. However, when you submit all that information to ATF on what will clearly be the new and improved Form 1, ATF is going to run that firearm through its 4999 checklist. And if, and trust me, most of you will be in this category, if you score 4 points or more on the 4999, you are going to receive a letter from ATF saying your firearm does not qualify for amnesty registration. You owe us a $200 tax stamp. Otherwise, you can forfeit the weapon. That, my friends, is the great trap that is being set by amnesty registration. Now, again, I don't think that this is a wild conspiracy theory. I am taking the language directly from ATF's budget request. I am taking language directly from ATF's Form 1, and I am taking the criteria directly from ATF's 4999. It is entirely possible that ATF's purported AR pistol amnesty registration may be one of the largest traps ever set in the history of modern government, and one that we all, as lawful and responsible gun owners, need to be very, very aware and cautious of. Listen, in the meantime, I know you guys are going to have more questions about this stuff or anything else related to all the crazy things going on with the ATF, and if you do, don't ever hesitate to contact us at WashingtonGunLaw.com, or of course you can call us directly at 425-765-0487. Now, let's remember, part of being the lawful and responsible gun owner, like we talk about all the time here at Washington Gun Law, is to know what the law is in every situation and how it applies to you in any instance that you may find yourself. Until next time, thanks for watching, and stay safe.